8 American states are falling apart, right now, in real time. Their economies are cracking, people are fleeing by the thousands, and entire cities are starting to feel like ghost towns. You've probably seen the headlines, but what's really happening behind the numbers will shock you. Some of these states were once powerhouses. Now they're on the edge of collapse. From rising crime to vanishing jobs to budgets bleeding red ink, this is the story of a country dividing from within. But before we start, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're pulling back the curtain, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now, let's dive in. New York's collapse isn't explosive. It's a slow fade. You can feel it walking through the city. The energy's still there, but it's thinner, stretched. In 2023, more than 100,000 people packed up and left. And it's not just retirees. It's families, young professionals, even lifelong New Yorkers saying, "I just can't do it anymore." The cost of living is outrageous. Taxes are sky high, and crime, especially in parts of the city, has crept back into daily conversation. Upstate isn't doing much better. Old industrial towns are emptying out, jobs are scarce, and small businesses are barely hanging on. Manhattan's office towers, nearly 1 in 5 are sitting vacant, and the state's facing a $9 billion budget gap. For a place that once represented opportunity, New York now feels like it's running on fumes. The lights are still bright, but behind them, the state that never sleeps looks exhausted. California. Man, this one hurts. For decades it was the promised land, sunshine, tech jobs, and ocean views. But now, it's turning into an escape story. In 2023 alone, more than 340,000 people packed up and left. And they're not just moving across town, they're leaving the state entirely. The cost of living has gone off the rails. The median home price? Over $850,000. And if you're renting, good luck. Studio apartments in LA are hitting $2,500 a month. Businesses are bailing too. Tesla, Oracle, even smaller tech startups. They've all traded palm trees for Texas and Tennessee. Downtown San Francisco looks like a ghost city, with nearly 1 in 3 offices sitting empty. Add in wildfires, water shortages, and constant power grid warnings. And it's no wonder Californians are asking themselves if the dream is still alive, or if it's officially burned out. Illinois feels like it's stuck in quicksand. Chicago's skyline still sparkles, but the numbers underneath tell a darker story. The state's population has been shrinking for nearly a decade. Over 100,000 people left in 2023 alone. Why? Taxes. Illinois has one of the highest combined tax burdens in the country, and property taxes are brutal. Some homeowners pay over 2.2% of their home's value every year. Add in rampant corruption scandals, crumbling infrastructure, and one of the nation's most underfunded pension systems, now more than $140 billion in debt, and you've got a state that's financially gasping for air. Chicago's violent crime rates and downtown retail closures aren't helping either. When middle-class families look at their future here, they see higher costs, fewer jobs, and dwindling safety nets. So they're leaving. And the state's financial foundation leaves a little more with every U-Haul that crosses the border. Louisiana's story is rough. It's a mix of economic hardship, natural disasters, and political dysfunction. The state's economy relies heavily on oil and gas, but as those industries fluctuate, so does everything else. In 2023, Louisiana's GDP growth ranked near the bottom nationwide, and over 45,000 residents left the state. Hurricanes, floods, and crumbling levees have devastated communities, while poverty remains sky high. More than 18% of residents live below the poverty line. Public schools rank near last in the U.S., and the state's infrastructure gets a consistent D grade. New Orleans, once the heartbeat of culture and music, is losing locals faster than tourists arrive, thanks to rising crime and housing costs that don't match wages. It feels like Louisiana is fighting against both nature and neglect, and unless something changes, the soul of the bayou might keep slipping further into the water. All right, I've got to pause for a second. What do you think so far? Do you agree that some of these states are heading for a crash, or do you think the media's overhyping the numbers? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one of them and love hearing your take on these state-by-state breakdowns. And if you're still watching right now, you're definitely part of the sharpest crowd on YouTube. So go ahead and like, subscribe, and let me know what topic you want me to tackle next. Hawaii might look like paradise, but living there feels more like survival. The cost of living is absolutely brutal. The average home now tops $1 million. Groceries cost 60% more than the mainland average, and electricity rates are the highest in the country. In 2023, Hawaii lost over 10,000 residents, a massive number for such a small population. Locals are being priced out by mainland investors and vacation rental conversions, turning entire neighborhoods into ghost resorts. The economy depends heavily on tourism, which makes it vulnerable to every global shock, pandemics, airline costs, even weather patterns. And with limited land and infrastructure, there's no easy fix. Many lifelong Hawaiians are moving to Nevada or Washington, saying they just can't afford home anymore. Hawaii's natural beauty hides an economic storm, and the people who built its culture are being pushed out of paradise, one plane ticket at a time. Oregon's collapse is quieter, but it's there. Portland, once hailed as a model of urban innovation, is now struggling with rising homelessness, addiction, and violent crime. The city's downtown vacancy rate hit nearly 30% in 2024, and small businesses are closing faster than new ones open. Meanwhile, the state's population growth has stalled for the first time in decades. Tens of thousands left last year for Idaho, Utah, and Texas. Why? Taxes are rising, housing costs are through the roof, and residents say quality of life is slipping fast. The state government is drowning in unfunded pension liabilities, while infrastructure and public safety continue to decline. Oregon still has natural beauty and progressive ideals, but the dream of Keep Portland Weird has turned into Keep Portland Standing. For many Oregonians, the rain isn't the problem anymore. It's what's washing away with it. West Virginia's collapse is heartbreakingly familiar. It's the story of a place that powered America, then got left behind. Once fueled by coal and steel, the state has seen those industries crumble, leaving empty towns and broken economies in their wake. Over the past decade, West Virginia has lost more than 3% of its population, and it continues to shrink each year. Median household income sits around $55,000, one of the lowest in the nation, while opioid addiction rates remain among the highest. Young people are leaving for cities where there's opportunity, and what's left behind is an aging, struggling population. Roads, bridges, and public schools are deteriorating fast. It's not that West Virginians lack resilience. They've got plenty. But when your economy is built on resources that the world is abandoning, survival starts feeling like nostalgia. The collapse here is quiet, but deeply human. Mississippi has been battling decline for decades, but in 2026, the cracks are turning into canyons. It ranks last in median income, last in healthcare, and near the bottom in education. Poverty affects nearly 20% of residents, and rural hospitals are closing at an alarming rate. Over a dozen have either shut down or cut services since 2020. The state's infrastructure is in shambles, with the Jackson water crisis exposing just how fragile things have become. Businesses are reluctant to invest, and skilled workers are leaving for neighboring states like Alabama and Tennessee. Even the population itself is shrinking, down more than 30,000 in the past few years. Despite the charm of small towns and southern warmth, Mississippi feels trapped in a cycle of underinvestment and political gridlock. It's not collapsing all at once, but the foundations are giving way, one cracked pipe and one lost paycheck at a time. So there you have it, the 8 states that are crumbling faster than anyone expected. Some are losing people, some are losing money, and a few are losing hope. But one thing's for sure, the map of America is changing, and not everyone's going to make it through the decade looking the same. If you learned something new or just love diving into the stories behind the stats, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who still thinks their state is untouchable.